We're back.
All right, now that the floor is coated, as you guys saw in the last video, it's finally dry. We're gonna be working on getting the lights in the shop. So I am gonna be installing these Hyperlite LED high bay lights. These are supposed to put out, I have 9 of them. They're supposed to put out like 140,000 lumens throughout the shop. So we're gonna mount them, I think, up there on the trusses. As you guys know, if you're following this build, we don't have power out here. So we are gonna use extension cord power for now. We're gonna kind of daisy chain the lights together, run them to a surge protector, and then run a 12 gauge power cord back to the house, or extension cord rather. That's about, I don't know, 160 feet. So we'll see how it does. Hopefully no fires, hopefully no issues with the circuit, and yeah, fingers crossed. And that's a temporary solution anyway. I might even run 6 of the 9 lights instead just to be safe, but as I said, just a temporary thing until we get power out here. Now, another thing I want to do is get the Land Cruiser and my tools in the shop today so I can start working on it in here. But unfortunately, the road to get into the shop is behind the house, and it's shared with a couple other neighbors, and one of them is a farmer, and he's went through with whatever tool you go into a canal with to get the silt, and it's kind of made a huge pile on that road, and I can't get back here. So I'm gonna try to get back the other side. If we can't get it in the shop, it is what it is, but I wanna get that Land Cruiser in the shop today, so let's get to it. So the plan is to install the lights up on the trusses, which sit at about 14 feet high, and that's actually right in the middle of the recommended height range from Hyperlite, which is 12 to 16 feet. I picked up these hooks. I'm just gonna be screwing them into the trusses after making a little pilot hole with the drill, and use them as a hanger, and then I'll just space the lights out evenly throughout the shop. Now the mounting location is not permanent here. I'm just testing things out to figure out, you know, what's the best place to put these lights to kind of evenly disperse the light throughout the shop. And this is all up for debate. It can all be changed in the future. We're just kind of playing around with what might be the best configuration. And as I already mentioned, I do have 9 in total, so there should be plenty of light regardless of where we put them. Well, before we get ahead of ourselves, let's go ahead and talk about these lights for a second. So we already have 3 installed, still have to do the other 6, but just want to go over these lights. Now, these are the Hyperlite LED High Bay Light Hero Series. They're a 150 watt light. They put off, I think, 21,000 lumens each. So the math on that for the shop would be 180,000, 1 times 9, 189,000 lumens for the shop. So we're gonna get quite a bit of light in here. And these things have this like interesting shape. They kind of look like a UFO. And that's because that is the viewing angle of the light. So it's something like 130 degrees or something. I might be totally off. I'll put that on the screen right here, what the viewing angle, meaning how the light is dispersed across the room, how that looks. So in the box, we're gonna get the light itself, instructions, manuals, all that, an Allen key, and a hook to mount the light with. And that's your standard install right there. Pretty easy. We'll pull the camera over here so you can see a little bit closer. So what we have here is everything that comes in the box with one light. We have the manual that's going to talk about warnings, specifications, all of that kind of stuff. We have the actual light itself, an Allen key for the safety feature that prevents it from falling off of the hook, and the actual hook itself that goes to the light. So let's go ahead and just take the stuff out of all the wrapping. This light does have the feature to dim if you want. We're not going to be doing that in here, obviously, since we don't even have power in the shop. We're not going to worry about dimming this, but you can see here that you can wire this into a dimmer if you want to. It also has this little safety hook right here that's going to allow you to strap it to something other than what it's mounted on in order to make sure it doesn't fall off. And then we have just a standard 110 if we want to use that as well. So this hook just goes, it threads into the back of the light right here. And just barely tighten it on with a wrench. Probably don't even need to, honestly, since this does have a lock that kind of tightens up against the threads right there. So anyway, we're just gonna tighten this with the wrench just a little bit like that, and then tighten up this lock. And that's essentially it. We're ready to install the lights. It's all we're gonna do for the remaining 6 lights and just hang them up on the hooks. Hardest part's gonna be installing the hooks into the trusses. Just to be completely transparent with you guys, Hyperlite did sponsor some of the lights for this video, not all of them, but some of them. I had to buy the rest, and I just want you guys to know that. Now, these are the lights that I was gonna buy anyway for the shop, so it's kind of a cool coincidence that they happened to reach out to me before I bought them, and they were able to help out with some of these lights for the shop. And it does work out for the viewers as well, because they're gonna offer a discount code in the description below if you're looking for similar lights for your shop, garage, or workspace. So I'm not gonna turn down sponsors for this shop. I need to get it going, and it's just good timing, and appreciate Hyperlite for helping make this possible. So let's go ahead and get the rest of the lights installed. I wised up after using a tape measure for the other 3 lights, and I pulled out a laser instead. I don't know if there is an easier way to take these ceiling measurements, but I feel like there has to be, because this does not seem like the best way to do this to me. If you're aware of an easier way, let me know, because when I go and I run conduit up here for lights in the future, I would really like to do this in an easier manner. Anyway, I just shot the laser upwards to align with the middle of the roof, so the middle lights are actually easier than all the other lights since I have a known central point to reference. These ones, of course, went up pretty fast, and it was starting to get dark, so I ran power to the lights just to see what it would be like with 6 of the 9 installed. See this yellow wire right here? That's the power for the shop. So this is a 15 amp circuit, and this is a 12 gauge extension cord, 100 feet long, going all the way to the shop. And now it does connect to another 100-foot cable, which I know isn't the safest thing to piggyback 2 cables together, but really is this setup that I'm doing right now the safest thing anyway. And the only thing that's gonna be on this power is the lights. There's not gonna be any power tools, nothing else, just the lights. And I did the math on it. They should pull less than 10 amps. So we have a 15 amp circuit, we have a 12 gauge extension cord, we have a surge protector in there, and we're only running 6 of the lights right now just to see how it looks. So let me know in the comments if I'm gonna burn my house down. I think I'm gonna be fine. And again, this is very, very temporary. It's not gonna stay this way, especially this spaghetti monster. I really just wanna see how this looks. So let's flip the switch and see how it does. Dude, I'm really nervous, actually. I'm kind of scared. I guess it's better to be nervous than fearless with electricity, because those that are fearless with electricity just die. So, all right, let's flip this switch and see what happens. Wow, dude, that's only 6. I don't even need 9. If I just had 6 in, they're kind of actually hard to look at. If I only had 6 in here, this is enough light for the whole shop, for sure. Let's close these doors and just see what we look like with only 6 lights. That is definitely enough light. We do not need 9. I'm gonna run the other 3, but I mean, they're gonna be blocked by the garage doors half the time anyway, unless I can think of a more clever way to mount them. Wow, that is really, really bright. Gonna have to come up with some sort of diffuser for it, actually, because it gets into your eye level and it's actually a bit too bright to stare at. But if you don't look at the light bulbs, you seem to do fine. Wow, look at that. We are not running anything at the garage end of the shop, and we are completely lit. Absolutely no shadows, which is really nice. That's that beam angle, that 120-degree beam angle. We got no shadows. Well, I guess a little bit, you see me right there, but for the most part, if we were working in here, we would have all the light we would ever need. Wow, this is really, really, really opening up the mind to all the projects and opportunities that can be had in this shop. This is, wow, this just opened the door to a whole bunch of ideas and made this whole entire project feel a lot more hopeful and put me in a way more positive mindset for this shop, because it's expensive and it's been daunting, and I haven't been wanting to get out here and work on it because everything costs so much. But this, you know, albeit we're tied in with extension cords and the plug might be frying on the house right now, but this really, really put me back on the right, like, mental state to want to finish the shop. So we'll pick it back up tomorrow and then install those last 3 lights. tie everything up to the trusses and wrap up that, and then we'll start bringing some other stuff into the shop. See you guys tomorrow. It's the next day, and as you guys can see, I was able to get the Land Cruiser into the shop, and there is a ton of room in here. I also did the lights off camera. I figured you guys don't need to see me install 3 more lights, and we did all the wiring too. So as you can see, everything's a lot more clean. I just have a bunch of extension cords basically ran to 3-way splitters for each bank. So we have 3 lights here, and there's a splitter, 3 lights there, and there's a splitter, 3 lights there, and there's a splitter. And they all come around and they end up coming down this post right here, and then they plug into this surge protector. So again, guys, temporary, but it's gonna get the job done. Now, for the lights at the front of the shop, you're gonna notice they're at a different location than the ones that are on the trusses, and that's because I kind of had to come up with a decision here. Where do I put these to be in the best spot for when the garage doors are gonna roll up and go over it? And what I came up with is that there really is no good solution. I could hang these lower in between the trusses to like sneak in between the garage doors. Gonna be a little bit harder here since we have a pinch point, but I mean, they're high bay lights. They're not supposed to be hanging down at 8-9 feet. They're supposed to be up high in the bay. And I think the best way I could do this is have the lights up on those support beams to give me the best lighting when the garage door is closed in this area right here. So we can revisit this in the future, but for right now, with the temporary wiring solution, this is how we're gonna run the lights. Everything can be moved, of course. And I think these lights that I put, or that light that I put right there on that support beam, I think I might move these existing ones on the truss to these support beams just to get it more central on the workspace here. Leave the middle bay on the trusses and then take those far lights and put those on the support beams above that far bay over there. And I think that'll be the best way to kind of spread the light out evenly throughout the shop. Setting up the lights that way is gonna put the first row of lights at 8 feet, the second row at 24 feet, and the last row at 40 feet. And I think, yeah, that's just gonna be the best way to set up the shop. Let me know what you guys would do for the lighting area above the garage door, or if you have any other recommendations for moving the lights around the shop in order to have them configured in the best way. I really am interested. Let me know in the comments below. So I wanted to get my toolbox into the shop today. It's just not gonna happen. The thing's like 800 pounds and I had to borrow a neighbor's trailer or something to get it in here. So that's all I really need to do to get working in this shop. So we're there. We can now start tearing apart the Land Cruiser in the shop and have a nice working area to handle that. So I think what we're gonna do to wrap up this episode is just wait for it to get dark outside, turn all the lights on, and see how it looks in the shop when it's completely dark and we don't have any help from the sun. While we're in here waiting, let's talk about the layout I have in my head for this shop. So in bay 1 right here, so think of the whole shop in bays. We have bay 1, bay 2, bay 3, and bay 4. The way that I have this envisioned in my brain is this is the fab area. And in the future, this whole bay from this, it's gonna span the whole way across, is gonna be a loft. And we're gonna have maybe my editing up there, maybe storage on the other side, but this whole bay is gonna have a loft above it. And this is the fab area here. So we're gonna have anything to do with welding, bending, fabricating, all that stuff's gonna be in this bay here. This is never gonna have a car in it. So just a nice working area. Now, where the Land Cruiser is right now, this is gonna be my working bay 1. So if we don't need to put something up on a lift, we're gonna work on it right here. Now, this is working bay 2. This is where the concrete is thickened, and if we do need to work on something on a lift, the 2-post lift is gonna be right here. Now for bay 4, I don't know. I'm open to suggestions. I don't know what to put over there. Honestly, guys, I don't have enough tools to fill the shop. So I'm not really decided on what to put in bay 4. Maybe just storage, junk, something will go over there. Now, behind the Land Cruiser here, this is where my toolbox is gonna go, just on this back wall. I did plan to bring it in here today, but I don't have a trailer and that thing's like 800 pounds and full of tools, and I have no way to get it back here. So I'm gonna have to revisit how to get the toolbox into the shop. So short of having the tools in the shop, we're ready to go. We have the concrete sealed, we have lights in the shop, we have the Land Cruiser in the shop, and we're ready to start tearing this thing apart, which I'm excited to get back to because I've missed working on this truck. All right, well, it's 9:30 right now. I'm in front of the camera. You probably can't see me, but I'm right here. You can see that. And I'm about to turn the power on and see how it looks in here. So just gonna flip the switch on my little surge protector and let's go ahead and give it a shot. Wow, that is a lot of light, isn't it? More light than I will ever need in here. And when we pull down these garage doors, we'll have even more light. So let's take a look at that. Oh yeah, second we pulled this door down, I could instantly tell how much more light there was. Watch when we pull this one down, you'll be able to, well, you can probably see it better than I can. Right there, instantly more light. Nice. Yeah, well, all we gotta do now is get the tools in here and we're ready to start working on the Land Cruiser.